So good evening, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me this evening for this lovely little flow with some Christmas music, if that's what you have on in the background. We will be doing kind of a yan yin, so we'll be moving pretty fast for a little bit, and then we'll slow it on down to balance out our energies. So as we begin to arrive on our mats this evening, I invite you to take a deep breath in through the nose, filling up all the spaces in your body, and exhale it all out, letting it go. One more time, a nice, deep, slow inhale through the nose, filling up every space inside of your body. And exhale it all out, letting it go. And just starting to settle into our mats this evening. I invite you to scan your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And if there's any part of you that you're taking care of today, or perhaps that's talking to you, I invite you to take a deep breath into that space and then let it go. And just noticing how we're feeling today. How do you really feel? With no need for judgment, just observing and starting to focus on our breath. Feeling your inhalations and your exhalations. How does it feel to breathe? And just staying with your breath for a few more cycles of inhalations and exhalations. And perhaps with each exhalation, becoming a little bit more heavy on the mat beneath you. Feeling yourself supported by the ground. And when you're ready to slowly start to awaken, I invite you to start with some small, gentle movements. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. Perhaps rock your head from side to side if that feels good. And then you can start to expand those movements, roll up overhead, a nice big inhale here, reaching nice and long. And exhaling and letting it go. One more time, a nice big inhale here, creating a little bit of tension. And exhaling, letting towards your chest. Once again, holding onto the backs of the thigh or the top of the shin. You can find stillness or perhaps a little bit of movement. Remembering once again that I am a guide on your journey, so please do what your body tells you. Find movement when you would like. Find child's pose. Beautiful. Coming back to center, placing our hands on our knees, letting our feet dangle here and drawing circles in the ceiling in whichever direction you'd like to start with. Beautiful. And then changing the direction if that feels okay for you. Beautiful. On our next breath, reaching our left leg out long, hugging in that right knee towards our chest, holding on the back of the thigh, the top of the shin, left toes just gently flex towards the face, shoulders back and down. Finding those micro movements with your breath, where we inhale, release just a little bit, and exhaling, pulling into the space we just created. One more breath on this side. And then as we exhale, reaching the right leg out long, arms up overhead. One more big reach stretch here. Exhale, hugging in the left knee this time. Right toes gently flexed. Shoulders back and down. Beautiful. One more breath in. And then on our next breath, hugging the right knee in towards the chest, knees to chest here. We're going to release our feet to the mat, and we're going to warm up our shoulders first here. So we're going to inhale our arms up to the sky, palms facing each other. And then as we exhale, we're going to reach our arms up over our head, thumbs pointing down. And then as we exhale, bringing our hands all the way back low towards the mat, if that feels okay. Inhaling up overhead to wherever is comfortable for you. And then exhaling them back down. Couple more times here in your own breath. Warming up our shoulder girdle. You know that means we're going to be planking. And one more time here. Beautiful. And then releasing our hands all the way to the mat. We're going to find our bridge pose. We're going to walk our feet in as close as we can to the back. Heels and knee, or I can't even speak. Knees and hips in alignment here, rooting into our shoulders, our upper arms, and all four corners of our feet. Nice big inhale. And then as we exhale, pressing into our feet, lifting our hips up to the sky. You can tuck your shoulders underneath your body if that feels okay. Double checking here that hips and knees are still in alignment, knees pointing straight ahead. Really opening up the front side body here, perhaps tipping your chin towards your chest just a little bit here. Couple more breaths. Beautiful. One more breath in, perhaps lifting just a little bit higher. And then as we exhale, slowly rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Beautiful. We're moving our feet further away from our body, windshield washing that out from side to side with your breath. And then the next time our knees fall to the right, we're just going to hold them there for a breath or two, just starting to stretch everything out. Letting go of all the muscles in our back here. And then lifting them back through center and exhaling them over to the left for a breath or two. Beautiful. Inhaling back to center. Arms on either side of our body. We're going to lift our legs up to the sky, and we're going to do alternating leg drops. So we're going to flex our toes just slightly towards our face. We're going to inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're going to lower the right foot down, perhaps hovering above the mat, but wherever you land is good for you. Inhaling back up to center, making sure our low back stays rooted on the mat the entire time. We're going to exhale our left leg down, hovering if you can. Inhaling back up. A couple more times on each side here. One breath, one movement. Really warming up our core. Again, your knee can be bent if that feels better for you, and you don't have to make it all the way down close to the mat either. Listening to your body and where you are at today. Beautiful. One more time on each side. And then when you finish that, hugging your knees into your chest one more time. Beautiful. We're going to rolling over onto our right or left side, perhaps setting our intention. And then pressing through our palm and making our way up into tabletop. Remembering in tabletop, fingertips spread nice and wide, knees underneath our hips here. Nice big inhale here to our back body. And then as we exhale, tailbone lifts, belly lowers, heart shining forward, shoulders back and down, cow. And then as we exhale, really rounding into our cat back stretch here. Inhaling nice and slow into cow, and then exhaling up into cat. A few times at your own movement here, if that feels good for you. You can also hold one pose longer than the other if that feels like where you need to be today. Beautiful. 2 more times through wherever you are. Making our way back to neutral spine, knees to the edges of the mat, big toes touch, sitting back on our heels. Walking our hands forward, melting our chest and our forehead to the mat, child's pose. Remembering that child's pose is available to you at any time should you wish to take it, or if this just feels like it's where you need to be today. Again, a little bit of movement here. Rocking your hips, perhaps rolling out your forehead. A breath or two. And then immediately rooting our right hip towards our right heel. Really breathing into the right side body here. One more breath on this side. And then exhaling back through center and walking your hands over slightly to the right, perhaps even off your mat. Left hip rooting down to that left heel. Breathing into the left side body. Beautiful. We're going to walk our hands back to center. We're going to stretch out our shoulders before we get moving here. So we're going to lift our hips just slightly. And we're going to thread our right hand through to the left side. So threading our right hand in between our left wrist and our left knee, lowering our right shoulder and our right ear to the mat. Thread the needle in child's pose. Now you can lift your left hand up towards the front of the mat. You can cup your fingers if you like. Holding for a couple of breaths here. Beautiful. That left hand is extended. We're going to bring our left hand back towards our face, and we're just going to gently lift up a little bit here. And then trying that on the other side. So threading our left arm through between our right wrist and our right knee, left shoulder and left ear lowering. Again, right arm can be extended. You can cup your fingertips here. Beautiful. If that right arm is extended, we're going to bring that right hand back towards our face, and we're going to press up into our tabletop. Again, fingertips spread nice and wide, tucking our toes, lifting our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Spine is nice and tall, sits bones reaching high to the sky, really pressing through our palms here. Bending our knees as much as we need to make sure that our spine is nice and straight. You can pedal this out. You can find a little bit of movement here. Beautiful. Holding this downward dog for a couple of breaths. And then we're gonna bend our knees, looking forward, walking slowly to the top of the mat, forward fold. Bending our knees as much as we need to. Torso is rooted on our upper thighs here. Letting our head dangle. Neck is nice and long here. We're gonna inhale, halfway lift, flat back, hands on shins or thighs. Exhale, bending our knees, forward fold. We're gonna root down into our feet as we rise up to the sky. Beautiful, exhaling down to mountain. In mountain pose, shoulders back and down. Shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. We're gonna find a couple sun breaths here. So we're gonna inhale up to the sky. Exhale, really hinging at our hips, bending our knees, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, bending our knees, rooting down to rise up to the sky. And exhaling down through heart center. One more time before we move, inhaling all the way up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And exhaling down through heart center and finding our mountain pose. Let's start with a gentle flow, inhaling up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, left foot to the back of the mat. Lowering that left knee, you can untuck your toes if that feels good. Rising up, right knee over our ankle, low lunge. Exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, right knee meets left, child's pose. Inhaling like a wave forward to our kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists, belly button into spine. Exhale, elbows into ribs, lowering all the way down to the mat. Inhaling up into baby cobra, squeezing our shoulder blades together just slightly here. Exhale, lower, pressing up and back, child's pose. Inhaling forward to our tabletop, right foot between our hands, hand to heel if we get stuck. And rising up. Exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, tucking the left toes, bending that knee, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bending our knees, rooting down, rising up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. Other side, inhaling all the way up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, right foot to the back of the mat. This time, lowering that knee, you can untuck your toes, left knee over our ankle. Rising up. Beautiful, exhale, folding forward, left knee meets right, child's pose. Inhaling like a wave to our kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, elbows into ribs all the way to the mat. Inhaling up into our baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Pressing up and back, child's pose. Inhaling to our tabletop, left foot between our hands, hand to heel if we get stuck. Rising up. Beautiful, exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, tucking those right toes, bending that knee, right foot meets left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rising up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. Sorry. We're gonna do the second flow, adding on a little bit here, almost like we did Sunday morning. So if you weren't there Sunday morning, that's okay too. We're just gonna be a little bit different here. So we're gonna inhale up. Exhale, hinging at our hips, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, left foot to the back of the mat this time, high on the ball mound of that left foot if we're not lowering our knee. Rising up. Crescent lunge. Beautiful, exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, right foot meets left, finding our plank or kneeling plank. We're gonna exhale, we're gonna lower all the way down to the mat, elbows into ribs.
We're gonna bring our feet out wider to the edges of the mat. And we're gonna move our hands back so our thumbs are in line with the bottom of our ribs. Squeezing our shoulder blades together. We're gonna inhale, lift up into a messy upward facing dog. Exhale, lowering all the way down. Trying that one more time, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Inhale, rising up. Beautiful. Exhale, lower. We're gonna bring our hands underneath our shoulders, legs back into the midline, tucking our toes, lifting up into plank or kneeling plank. Holding for a breath. Exhale, hinging our hips up and back. Downward facing dog. We're gonna inhale our right leg to the sky. Exhale, bringing that right hand between our feet, rising up. Crescent lunge. Exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, bending that left knee, left foot meets right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down to rise up. Exhaling, mountain. One more time, inhaling it. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, right foot to the back of the mat this time. High on the ball mound to that foot, rising up. Beautiful. Exhale, folding forward, planting our hands, right foot meets left, or left foot meets right. Plank or kneeling plank, shoulders over wrists. Exhale, elbows into ribs, lowering all the way down to the mat. Feet to either corners of the mat. Bringing our hands where our thumbs are in line with the bottom of our ribs. Squeezing our shoulder blades together, inhaling up. Messy upward facing dog. Exhale, lowering all the way down to the mat and bringing our hands underneath our shoulders, legs back into the midline, tucking our toes, lifting up into plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling back into downward facing dog. Left leg reaches high to the sky. Bringing that left foot between our hands. Hand to heel if we get stuck. Rising up. Exhale, folding forward, bending that right knee, right foot meets left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. Exhaling, mountain. Beautiful. Finding mountain pose for a couple of breaths here. You can find a sip of water if you need to. All right. I swallowed wrong, so here we go. We're gonna find a fun little flow. I know Jeanette and Jen are laughing at me right now. So we're gonna inhale all the way up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, stepping back, downward facing dog. We're gonna inhale our right leg to the sky. And then as we exhale, we're gonna really bring our knee towards our chest, shoulders over wrists, finding that core flow. Exhaling back up. 2 more times, rounding our spine, knee towards our chest, shoulders over wrists. Up again. Last time, knee towards our chest, shoulders over wrists, holding for a breath. And then as we exhale, stepping that foot in between our hands. We're gonna lower our left knee and untuck our toes, rising up, kneeling lunge again. And then in our next exhalation, finding our cactus back bend, squeezing our shoulder blades together here. Inhaling back up. And then as we exhale, we're gonna fold forward, planting our hands just gently, cupping our fingers, tucking those left toes, lifting that left knee off the mat, and then using the strength of your core to rise up. Crescent lunge. Beautiful. As we exhale, we're going to open up into our warrior 2. So heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Lunging to that front knee. We're going to right palm reaches up a little, reach forward, exalting our warrior here, really reaching through our right fingertips. Either way, all the way up to the sky or just slightly back. Exhaling back to warrior two. Bending this right arm, placing it on the top of our thigh, supported side angle. My goodness. If it's available, we're going to turn the left palm towards the ground, bringing our bicep by our ear. And then we're going to lift this right arm up, almost like we're holding a beach ball, really engaging our core here. Holding for a breath or two. You might be a little shaky, and that's okay. And then on our next exhalation, warrior two. Beautiful. We're going to straighten this right leg, really reaching forward as we topple into our triangle. Lifting out of the right fingertips here. Really opening up the bottom rib cage towards the sky. Keeping that right leg straight, we're going to exalt our triangle. Reaching through our right fingertips. Beautiful. Making our way back to warrior two. We're going to cartwheel our front arms, planting them on the mat, pivoting that left foot. We're going to bring the right foot to meet the left, finding our plank. Now we're going to find side planks. You can lower this right knee if you'd like. Find supported side plank. If not, we're going to move our right wrist, or right hand in a little bit here, rolling over onto the sides of our feet. Left arm up to the sky, right wrist underneath our right shoulder. Lifting our hips up here. Holding for another breath. Circling this left arm around, making our way into plank or kneeling plank. And then exhaling up and back, downward facing dog. You can pedal this out if you need to. You can rock your hips from side to side. And then we're going to bend our knees and walk our feet to the top of the mat, finding our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, bending our knees, reaching up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. Beautiful. Trying that flow on the other side. So finding our mountain pose to start here. Inhaling up to the sky. Exhale, hinging out our hips, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, stepping back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. Inhaling our right leg to the sky this time. And then as we exhale, rounding our spine, knee towards our chest. Exhaling back up, and I think I'm doing the wrong leg. So we're going to lower that right foot down. Exhaling our left leg up to the sky. And then really rounding our spine, bringing our knee towards our chest, shoulders over wrist. Exhaling back up. Knee towards our chest, shoulders over our wrists. One more time. Really rounding our spine here, holding for our breath. And then bringing that left foot between our hands. Lowering that right knee, you can untuck your toes, rising up here. And then as we exhale, finding that cactus back bend here, squeezing our shoulder blades together. Exhaling back up. Folding forward, cupping our fingertips, tucking those right toes, lifting that right knee off the mat, using your core, rising up. Shoulders back and down. And then we're going to pivot that right foot, opening up, warrior two. Left palm reaches up a little, reach forward, exalting our warrior on this side, really reaching through our left fingertips. Exhaling back to warrior two, bending this left arm, right arm towards the sky, starting in supported side angle. If it's available, we're going to turn that right palm towards the ground, bicep by our ear, opening up to the right. And then if it's okay, left arm reaches up, palms facing each other like we're holding that beach ball, really engaging our core here. One more breath. And then exhale, rising up, warrior two. Straightening that left leg, really kicking out this right hip, reaching forward, toppling into our triangle here. Exhaling, exalting our triangle. Legs staying straight, reaching out of these left fingertips. Beautiful, making our way back to warrior two. Cartwheeling our front arms, pivoting that right foot, left foot meets right. Finding our plank pose. Once again, finding you can lower your knee to find supported side plank or moving your left hand in just a little bit, rolling onto the outside of your feet. Right arm reaches up, hips to the sky. Thank goodness I'm not in class today. Holding for one more breath. And then bringing that right hand down, squaring that off, plank or kneeling plank, holding for a couple of breaths. Shoulders over wrists, protracting our shoulders up to the sky, pressing through our palms. And then exhaling our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Again, you can pedal this out. And we're going to bend our knees, walking our feet to the top of the mat, finding our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down towards our feet, rising up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. Beautiful. Again, you can find a sip of water anytime you need to. And we're going to make our way into chair. So big toes touch, heels a sliver apart. If that's comfortable for you, if it's more comfortable for you to have your feet further apart, then that's okay too. Hands starting at heart center here, perhaps catching our breath for a moment. We're going to inhale to create some length through our spine, and then as we exhale, sitting back into our imaginary chair here. Belly button into spine, toes in front of our knees, pressing our hands together, creating a little bit of tension here. Beautiful. And then as we exhale, if it's available, we're going to twist to the right, bringing our left elbow outside of our right knee. If not, left hand on the outside of our right thigh, right hand on our low back, whatever is available. Checking to make sure our knees are still in alignment here. And then we're going to test our balance. We're going to look down at the ground, rooting into our right foot, reaching our left foot back, finding our crescent lunge with a twist. If it's available, we can open up our arms here. Beautiful. Our arms are open. We're going to close them back up. We're going to find center. We're going to fold forward that front leg. And we're going to find pyramid pose. We're going to bring our left foot in. So our legs are about 1.5 to 2 feet apart. Left foot on a 45-degree angle. We're going to inhale a halfway lift. Legs are straight, slight micro bend in that right knee. And then if it's available, we're going to fold forward, forehead to knee. Pyramid. Stretching that out for a breath or two. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to lunge just slightly into that right knee, walking our hands forward, keeping our fingertips cupped, making a tripod with our hands and our right foot. And we're going to lift our left leg up to the sky, forehead to knee, finding standing split. Now we're going to find a curtsy lunge. So on our next exhale, we're going to soften our right knee, bringing our left knee just behind our right shin if that's available. And then exhale, rising back up, standing split. 2 more times, bending that right knee, left knee behind our shin, rising up. Last time, bending that right knee, left knee behind our shin, and rising up, standing split. Holding it here, holding. I know you're cursing me. And then left foot meets right, forward fold. Beautiful, hanging out here for a breath. We're going to inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, rooting down to rise up to the sky. And exhaling to mountain. And then finding that flow, because I know you had so much the first time, on the other side. Again, you can find a sip of water. So starting in that chair pose, big toes touch heels a sliver apart, or whatever is most comfortable for your body. Hands starting at heart center here. Perhaps wiggling that out. Inhaling, creating length in our spine. Exhale, lowering our hips into that imaginary chair. Again, toes in front of our knees, pressing our palms together slightly to create a little bit of tension. And then as we exhale, and if it's available, right elbow outside of left knee, knees in alignment, or right hand outside of left thigh, left hand on the low back. Beautiful. Testing our balance, looking down on the ground, reaching that right foot back. Twisting lunge. And then if it's available, opening up your arms here, just like wings. If our arms are open, we're going to close them back up. Hinging forward. Planting our hands just slightly, finding pyramid pose on this side. So again, feet are about 1.5 to 2 feet apart. Right toes on a 45-degree angle. Left leg is straight. Slight micro bend. Inhale, halfway lift. Making sure our hips are really square to the front of the mat. Exhale, folding forward if that's available. Beautiful. Softening that left knee, walking our hands forward, finding our tripod on this side. Lifting our right leg towards the sky, standing split. And then finding that curtsy just 3 times on this side. So we're going to soften our left knee, bringing our right knee behind our left shin, exhaling back up. 2 more times, bending that left leg, right knee behind our shin, and up. Last time, and lifting up here. Holding, holding. Beautiful. Right foot meets left, forward, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, rooting down, rising up. Exhaling. Mountain. Beautiful. On our next breath, left foot reaches back, finding warrior 1, left foot on a 45-degree angle. Right knee over our ankle. Hands can be wherever you would like them to be. Catching our breath here. Beautiful. Inhaling our hands to heart center. Heel toeing up that left foot. Heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Warrior 2. Right palm reaches up a little, reach forward, exalting our warrior. Making our way back to warrior 2. We're gonna straighten this right leg, bringing our hands to heart center. Pivoting our feet so our toes are pointing the long edge of the mat. Hands can start on our hips. Inhale to create some length. Exhale, hinging at our hips, finding our wide-legged forward fold. You can heel toe out a little bit more. Walking our hands into the midline, crown of the head towards the mat here. Really starting to let go now. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lift. We're going to heel toe that in. And we're going to find our Malasana squat here. So if Malasana or garland pose is not in your practice, I invite you to find just a deep squat or goddess pose. If not, we're going to make it all the way down here. Pressing elbows into knees, knees into elbow, pressing our palms together here. So our spine is really nice and tall, crown of the head reaching high, really stretching everything out. It's a beautiful grounding pose. On our next breath, we're going to reach our left hands towards the ground. They don't have to make it there. Twisting open to the right. Again, you can do this in a deep squat or a goddess pose. Inhaling our hands back to center. Reaching our right fingertips towards the ground. Left arm extending, opening out to the left. Inhaling back to center. And then using the strength of our feet, rising up to the sky. You can heel toe that in.
And then making our way to the top of the mat. Beautiful. Finding our mountain pose here. On our next exhale, right foot back on a 45-degree angle, finding warrior one on this side. Arms wherever you would like them to be again. If your shoulders are getting tired, bringing your hands to heart center. Exhaling our hands down to heart center, heel toeing out that right foot, finding a warrior two, heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Arms forward and back. Left palm reaches up a little, reach forward, exalting our warrior on this side. Exhaling back to warrior two. Beautiful. We're going to pivot this right foot, circling this right arm around. Crescent lunge just for a breath. Exhale, folding forward, bending that right foot meets left, forward fold. Holding this for a couple of breaths. You can find movement, you can hold on to opposite elbows, you can rock side to side, whatever feels good for you. Beautiful, we're gonna let that go, and then we're gonna slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. Shoulders back and down last. We're gonna roll through that one more time. So we're gonna exhale our chin towards our chest. We're gonna slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time, arms really heavy here. Going nice and slow. Bending our knees. Really feeling each vertebrae moving here if you can. And then slowly rising up. Beautiful. Shoulders back and down. We're going to inhale up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, planting our hands, making our way into tabletop. And then lowering all the way down to our bellies here and finding our Sphinx pose. Elbows underneath our shoulders, palms facing down. Looking down and ahead, shoulders away from our ears. And just letting all the muscles start to go now. And if this feels good for you, stay here. If you'd like to add on a little bit to seal, we're going to move our hands towards the corners of our mat, pressing through our palms, straightening our arms, lifting up. Again, shoulders away from our ears. And then on our next exhale, if we're lifted up, we're going to bring our elbows back to the mat, arms back to the midline, lowering all the way down to our bellies, hands beside our ribs, pressing up and back into a narrow-legged child's pose. Holding this child's pose for a few breaths here. Really starting to let go. Noticing what it's like to breathe into your back body here. Really filling up every space with new oxygen. And then maybe with each exhalation, just letting everything that you're holding onto out. Beautiful. On our next breath, we're going to walk our hands in towards our knees. And we're going to rise up and we're going to make our way into seated. Now, if you did bring a pillow with you, you can actually sit on the pillow. I do have one here. Which will give you a little bit more height, and it might give you a little bit more of a stretch if you want it. So the legs out front here, sits bones still rooted. Taking a breath or two first. We're going to inhale our arms up to the sky. And then as we exhale, really reaching through our fingertips, hinging at our hips before we round in. Forehead to knee. Seated forward fold. Holding this here. Letting your low back release. Few more breaths here. And then on our next breath, slowly rising up out of that. Bending our knees, soles to touch here. Finding butterfly again. You can still sit on your pillow, creating a little bit of height there. Hands can be on your ankles or on your shins. Heels can be in as close as you like or further away. Really rooting down your sits bones here, rising up, maybe pressing your shoulder blades together just a little bit. Creating a nice tall spine here. And then as we exhale, slowly rounding down, finding our butterfly. And then on our next exhalation, rising up out of that, we're going to close our knees up like a book. And we're going to make our way into the middle of the mat. And again, you can use your pillow to put your head on if that feels good. And then we're going to slowly roll down safely, hugging in one knee and then the other, knees to chest. Again, you can find a little bit of movement here. Beautiful. We're going to lower our feet to the mat and find our figure four stretch. So we're going to cross our right ankle underneath our left knee. Right toes are flexed. Externally rotating out that left or that right knee. Really pressing that away from the body. And if this feels like enough of a stretch, stay here. If you want to add on, you can reach through, hugging in the back of that left thigh or the left shin, just making sure both shoulders stay rooted. Holding this for about 15 breaths. And then on our next breath, we're going to lower that left foot to the mat, keeping our legs in this figure four stretch. Arms in cactus or T. And then we're going to let our left knee and our right foot gently fall to the left. Both shoulders rooted here. You can look straight ahead or out over the right shoulder. Really twisting everything out, turning on our parasympathetic nervous system here. Relaxing our body.
Beautiful. On our next breath, bringing our legs back to center. We're going to uncross our right ankle from our left knee. You can windshield washer that out if that feels good. Beautiful. And then finding that on the other side. So starting with that figure four stretch, left ankle crossed underneath our right knee, left toe is flexed, externally rotating that left hip so that our left knee is pushing away from our body. And then only if it feels good, reaching through, hugging that right knee in, shoulders on the mat. And then on our next breath, lowering that right foot to the mat, keeping our legs the way they are again, finding cactus and or T with our arms. And then exhaling, lowering that right knee towards the mat, left foot towards the ground, looking straight ahead or out over our left shoulder. Holding this here. Perhaps softening wherever you can. We're going to inhale back to center. You can uncross your legs, windshield washing that out. And then on our next breath, making your way into final resting pose, Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you. Legs outstretched to either corners of the mat. You can find modified Shavasana. And then taking a deep breath in through the nose, filling up every space in your body. And exhale, letting it go. And just staying with your breath for a few moments here, allowing me to hold this space for you until it's time to bring you back.
And when you're ready to slowly start to wake yourself up, I invite you once again to find some small, gentle movements, wiggling your fingers and your toes, and then expanding those movements to whatever feels good for you. And then perhaps finding any other movement you need to bring yourself back. Whether that's a big reach stretch, knees to chest, or maybe a big hug. Whatever it is your body is craving here. And in your next few breaths, I invite you to bend your knees, reaching your right or your left arm over your head and rolling over onto your right or your left side body. Taking a goodbye breath here. And then in your own time, pressing through your palm and making your way up into seated lotus pose, whatever that looks like for you. And gathering in together for one last breath, inhaling our arms up to the sky and exhaling them down through heart center. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and have a wonderful holiday season. The love and the light in me truly sees and honors the love and the light in each of you. Namaste.
Thank you, Laura. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you again.
Nice to see you too.